Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa, and thank you for tuning in to the podcast with the best domain name and digital asset content in the world. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Today's episode is a Domain Sherpa review titled Go Fish, and it features Ammar, Drew, and Larry Fischer, who's on the show for the first time since I've been host, so I'm really excited about it. And on today's show, we play the domain game featuring bbq.org, watchforum.com, and 369.org. And then we've got the NameJetGonnaJet segment, sponsored by NameJet, and we talk about some domains coming up for auction, including activecare.com, smartlock.com, and spystuff.com. The Sherpas also dive into the recent craziness at OpenAI, and does that have any impact on Drew's opinion on .ai domains? Spoiler alert, it does not, but it does give him a chance to clarify and then further double down on his position. And then we talk about the development of dn.org, so please make sure you check that out. Also, the ICA meeting is in Vegas, and it's coming up January 17th to the 20th. The preliminary itinerary has been released, and it looks great. So if you're not a member yet, be sure to get your membership and then get registered for the event. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch the video version at domainsherpa.com and on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. You can also listen to the shows on Apple and Spotify and other podcast platforms as well. So make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and all that good stuff, and help Domain Sherpa grow the pie. And also now we're integrating our shows with Muse.ai, which provides new search functionality for the shows and transcripts as well. So check it all out. It's all good stuff. And big shout out to Dan.com, the #1 place in the world to buy and sell your domains with a special platform made for domain investors. With that, it's now time to get into this episode of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, a.k.a. Sherpa Winfrey, John Burgundy, all that good stuff. And I'm the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a Domain Sherpa review, where we get into the minds of successful domain investors, the OGs, using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts, like I say. There's 4 segments to the Domain Sherpa review. We've got the grand opening. It's where I intro the Sherpas, drop a few AKAs, do what we do. We got segment 2, which is the domain game. We talk about a buy or a sell that each Sherpa has made recently. Everybody guesses on the price. We keep scoring, get some swag to the winner, something like this. Then we got segment 3, which is NameJetGonnaJet, sponsored by our good friends at NameJet. Review a list of domains coming up for auction, see what the Sherpas like and what they don't like. And then GrandClosing, where we discuss anything we haven't already covered, what's going on in the domain space, looking at the market trends, current events, all that good stuff, allowing our guests to mention and promote anything that they have not already discussed. But let's go ahead and dive right in and introduce the Sherpas over to my right. Yeah, for the first time on the show since I have been a host, but he is literally the definition of an OG in domaining. We have Larry Fischer, a.k.a. the Fisher King, a.k.a. Leisure Suit Larry, a.k.a. Larry Legend. Shout out to Larry Bird, a.k.a. Luca Brazzi. Why is that? He sleeps with the fishes, a.k.a. Gin Rummy. Oh, you don't like that one? Then go fish. You get it? Oh, and what do you call fish without an eye? What do you call fish without an eye? Fish. All right, dad jokes all day. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Larry, like I said, is a huge OG, one of the biggest domain brokers in the world, enormous sales, chat.com, home.com, along with our buddy Andrew Miller. I almost called him Andy Miller. I don't know if he would like that. And they have a podcast that they do that they just started about a week ago. It's going to be a weekly live podcast, taking questions from the audience, all that good stuff through Hilco Digital, called Random Thoughts on Thursdays. And
every other Thursday.
Every other Thursday. Coming up the next episode is the week following Thanksgiving, right? That's what it looks like.
That is. Got a really good show.
Maybe if they sold more domains, they could do it every Thursday.
I like it. Get that budget up.
Omar, I thought this was too early for you.
It is.
Yeah, he hits me up. He's like, "Oh,
that's why he's throwing zingers."
Like, do I have to do this today? Anyway, Larry, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to get into some good stuff today and talk. There's a lot to talk about, but thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Keeping it moving. To my lower right, we got my boy Andrew Rosner, a.k.a. Morpheus, a.k.a. the Dirk Diggler of Digital Assets, a.k.a. Bob Lee Swagger, the Sniper, a.k.a. Never Gonna Give Drew Up, aka Graybeard, the domain pirate in the building. Well, not in this building. None of us are in the same building, but takes that, in the Zoom room. What's up, man? How are you?
I am. I'm good. I am good. I am. You know what? I got a little glimmer of hope today. The new president of Argentina, I think, offers, yet to be seen, but offers a glimmer of hope for Argentina and potentially much wider, certainly in other parts of Latin America. Anyways, that had me in a very
and that is because he is a Bitcoin
today.
maximalist, basically. Is that part of
I think that his interest in Bitcoin is actually just a symptom of his broader understanding of how socialism doesn't work, the corruption of the financial system and all of that stuff. And so, I think.
All right. Well,
a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope.
All right. Well, I think it's interesting. I don't know a lot about dude, or I just know that he's really into Bitcoin. So I knew that that's something that, aligns you and he. I don't know really much else. So I'm not even going to venture into any kind of dialogue or discussion because I just don't know what I don't know, But what I do know is I got my boy Mark Kuba on the show. So below me, let me go ahead and introduce the one and only Mark Kuba, aka King Kuba, aka Danny Ocean, aka the even greater Gatsby. Don't chase an unworthy dream, y'all. Aka Amarzan, aka Kuba Libre, aka Josephine's husband, aka LL Amarj. AKA Kuba Soze, AKA AK-47, AKA AK.
Kuba Soze is good.
Yeah, thank you. AKA AK-47, AKA AKA. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like that's like there's some kind of meta thing in there.
He was expecting more reaction from that. He thought that this AKA AK is so clever. He was expecting more reaction. When he didn't get it, he had to repeat it 2 more times.
Hey, I'll repeat it 6 times to get the reaction I need, man. I'm here for the.
I have a feeling Drew's feeling a little spicy.
He is feeling. I like it though. I like it. I'm not mad at it, So, but hey, I'm only here for the reactions. I'm not here for the free Wi-Fi. But let's. So
what's the password again to that free Wi-Fi?
Yeah, DS.
Funny enough, I think somebody actually got it.
Anyway, all right. Well, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. First thing, before we even get started, I want to real quick. We got the ICA meeting coming up in Vegas in January. We will, I'm going to start posting the links to the shows so that people who are not already signed up and registered. First of all, the order of operations. If you are not a member of the ICA, you got to get on it. I mean, there literally are very few people that are operating at an extremely high level. Call it political lobbying, educational, all that kind of stuff, on behalf of domainers, domain investors, domainers' rights, all that good stuff. A lot of the work they're doing with UDRPs, even educating the panelists, which I think is an amazing, awesome initiative that those guys are engaged in. And they've got the meetup that's happening in mid-January in Las Vegas. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be there, and we'll probably do a live Sherpa from Vegas, which is going to be a lot of fun, So,
yeah. And there will be a pickleball tournament.
Yes. Oh, dude, it's Sherpa ball. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that, Drew. We're going to talk about sponsoring the pickleball tournament. We'll see.
That'd be a short conversation.
It's because it's just going to be a yes. I like it. See, that's what I'm talking about. We're getting it today. Let's go. No, but hey, jokes aside, ICA, if you guys are not members, please, it doesn't cost a ton, and there's a ton of value there, and you're supporting a great organization. And then come hang out in Vegas. That's going to be great as well. So, all right, well, let's dive into it. Is there anything? Do we want to talk about this Chat GPT OpenAI thing?
Definitely.
It just pop off this weekend.
Is there anything more prominent to talk about?
Well, the last I heard is that 500 out of the 770 employees have already said they will quit if Altman doesn't come back and the board.
Not only quit, but they're going to go join Microsoft.
Yeah. So quick
They're gonna
level
go
set
join-
for
they're gonna go
anybody who
join-
is, yeah. So real quick for anybody who's been sleeping like in a truck bed or under a rock for the last, couple of days. So we got Sam Altman, who is the co-founder of OpenAI, ChatGPT. It was effectively ousted because I didn't realize this, but it was run by a board, right? Is that like a nonprofit? Is that the deal?
Well, it's a very confusing structure, right? Because it was originally a nonprofit. And then at some point, it's not abundantly clear what happened, but they basically created a for-profit company within the nonprofit.
But he has no shares.
Yeah, he supposedly has no shares, but then he made that post on Twitter over the weekend saying, if I start wiling out on Twitter here, the board should come after me for the full. I guess that could have been a joke.
No. That's the sarcasm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just sarcastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, yeah. I mean, how do you have shares in a nonprofit anyways, right? So
No, right. Well, that's what he's saying in the for-profit, I guess. I mean, it's weird.
I was thinking about it like, okay, so you have like Kostler, like what did they invest in? They invested into a nonprofit?
No. So it's now for-profit, right? And that the board is supposed to be managing the for-profit, I believe.
For-profit side, right? Yeah, it's a separate entity that they set
Yeah,
up.
but is that an actual legal entity?
As far as I know, yeah.
I'm not sure, but I believe so.
Okay.
Well, somebody should get on it then. If not, tie that piece of it down.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious because the structure of this thing isn't clear to me, and I think that it suddenly becomes quite
matters,
important,
right?
But, yeah, it matters now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll drop chatgpt.com because they'll forget to renew it now.
Exactly.
That would be amazing.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
So he gets ousted, and then Satya, right, from Microsoft pulls the G move, in my opinion. I mean, you talk about 4-dimensional chess or whatever. So it's like, so Microsoft has this. So it was a partnership deal. What was the deal that they had with?
Well,
ChatGPT?
they were the lead investor into
They own
OpenAI.
40%, I think,
Yeah.
right? 40%.
Well, it's also a strange thing. It's actually, they don't own 40%. They have a profit sharing agreement of 40% of the profits up until the point where OpenAI can provably demonstrate that they have constructed AGI, artificial general intelligence. And at that point, I don't think that it's clear what the agreement then, what changes about that agreement. But there was this mechanism where once they've demonstrated that they have AGI, and the reason I mention this is because, it seems that the reason this all went down was that Ilya, who is the co-founder and chief scientist at OpenAI, seemed to have been triggered thinking that they may have created an early version of an AGI and things were moving too quickly. And basically what Sam was about to do was go raise, I forget the amount, but it was an absurd amount, about $100 billion. And the vast majority of that funding was purely for compute, right? So they go back to Microsoft. So it's like, Microsoft invests, let's just say they're going to raise $100 billion and Microsoft invests $40 billion. Okay. So Microsoft hands them $40 billion. And then OpenAI basically hands $40 billion back to Microsoft in the form of Azure credit. And, basically compute is the bottleneck between where we are today and AGI, right? With enough iterations, this thing is now learning from itself already. And so it's really just about iteration. It's just about iteration. There's two bottlenecks. It's compute and data. The more data that they feed it and the more compute power they have, the faster they develop an AGI. That's really seems to be the sole bottleneck here. And so I think, at least my interpretation, this is solely my interpretation, was that Ilya basically realized that, okay, they're going to go raise another $100 billion implement all this compute from Microsoft. And that's, basically happening like this. And the potential consequences of that, I think he felt were probably
significant,
not well enough understood to be safe.
Yeah.
Is my impression. And so here we are. And now Sam is going to be at Microsoft with that compute directly, and in essence, unlimited resources to go build this.
Now, what do you think the fact that a board actually cared more about their mission than the dollar? That they were actually, and I mean, it's a unique thing nowadays. It really is.
Well, I guess it's part of this ESG thing. It's about the governance component of ESG, right? It's what does Larry Fink call it? Stakeholder capitalism, right? And it's I personally, being the purebred capitalist that I am, don't think that that's a good thing. I think that, everybody has a role. Systems are created with components and nodes, and each of these things has to serve a specific role. And, it's like Bill Belichick says, know your role. And so you're the board of directors. Your sole interest is the interest of your shareholders. And so I think that what is important, and this actually ties back to the pre-podcast conversation we were having about Bitcoin. What is important is that a board is taking into account the full scope of inputs that represent the interest of its shareholders, right? And so I think that the concept of the interest of your shareholders today is perhaps too small, right? It's too contained. Perhaps it's not taking into account the full input of all appropriate causes and effects of the full spectrum of inputs that represent the interests of their shareholders. And this is one example. If we create an AGI and it wipes out humanity, is that in the full spectrum of interest of your shareholders? And so, it's debatable whether or not they are overreaching or not. We don't know, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what the actual trigger here was, right? If we're basing everything on the assumption that Ilya threw up the red flag and was like, and that is what caused the board to do what they did, then, I think there's an argument on both sides as to whether or not it was appropriate or not.
Yeah,
or whether that was the appropriate action to take. I think that it was short-sighted from the board to think that firing Sam was the appropriate action to take. If, again, we're operating from the presumption that this happened because of Ilya and throwing up a red flag for safety.
Yeah, and he's come out now and said that he actually regrets participating in the ouster, right? That he's come out and been like, that wasn't really what I wanted to have happen. So again, working off a limited, it's like looking into a room through a keyhole, right? You have limited view of the facts here, and I think there's a couple of different.
He does play 4G chess, right? He's literally one of the smartest human beings alive, and he literally knows if we fire Sam, what are the second, third, and fourth order effects of that? And it's clearly
So that was going to be my point.
Microsoft or starts his own firm. And then they don't have me or any of the other people who care about containing this thing.
Well, and I think that's part of the thing here. It's like you've got a couple different pieces. One, you've got this board that, they obviously seems to be overreaching based on, what they were told and the actions they took. And then you look at the domino effect of what happened. So it's like by ousting Sam, and then he says, okay, fine. He's going directly to Microsoft, which then creates this effectively eliminating a lot of the constraints that he had prior, and then
all of
the people, almost everyone involved is saying, hey, that wasn't me, because of what a disaster this has become, including the 500, like you said, 500 plus to Larry's point of the 700 employees, and probably the only people they haven't gotten on the, actually to sign this letter were probably people who were literally asleep or overseas or something, or on a different time zone, because my guess is they'll probably get 99%.
Ilya is really the golden goose here, right? I mean, they obviously have some of the greatest talent particular engineering talent, out there. But Ilya, at least my understanding is that Ilya is really the golden goose. How do you?
Ammar's throwing
how
up
does that
thumbs
happen?
up, thumbs
No,
down.
I don't know. It's just doing it automatically.
I think it's a new
Sure.
Zoom. That's a new Zoom feature. Yeah, I think it's crazy. Ilya, though, as smart as he is, like, you think does he have a mirror, though, is my question, homeboy, like, or a razor? Like, I think it's time. I think it's time to come over to the dark side.
Listen, man,
David, because
he's worried about more important things. You know what I'm saying? Like
well, yeah, he's losing his hair in real time. You know what I'm saying? As he's talking, it's like disappearing. I'm like, come on, man, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to try and
the more deep thought I get into, the more homeless I look.
But yeah, no, it's crazy. And I think the implications for society at large, all this stuff, I mean, we're right at this forefront of AI and everything that's happening with it. It also, I think, dovetails interestingly into this domain conversation that we had on the last Sherpa, where you were talking about .ai domain names, and we're actually we'll bring Andy Booth on the show probably in a week or two to talk a little bit more about that, because I thought that was a pretty good spirited discussion, not just between me and you, but between like online. So let's tie it to domains and talk about what does this mean for commerce and capitalism, and how does this impact domains? If you have this sort of resetting or changing of the guard, does this matter at all? Does it have any impact?
Well, for the
You're saying what happens at OpenAI if that affects domains?
No, I'm just saying, like, look, how does this affect domain names in general, and how does it affect .ai domain names? Does any of this stuff, as sort of world changing as it potentially can be, does it impact us at all?
Are we talking about the OpenAI situation, or just AI generally speaking?
No, I'm talking about the OpenAI. Like, your position when you and I were on the show a week ago was AI domains are a flash in the pan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
.ai.
So hold
sorry.
on.
Let me clarify.
I actually said specifically they were not a flash in the pan. So let me clarify. But my position is quite simple. I think .ai is great. I have no problem with .ai. My point, which seems to be totally missed by seemingly intelligent people like Rick and Andy.
Hey, that's what I give him, a shovel. You know what I'm saying?
Is quite simple. So AI is a tool, okay? Like other tools, there are going to be companies that develop in order to create tools using this tool, okay? And my point is quite simple. This is like a platform level. This is like a network level tool, okay? And so there are only going to be a handful of companies that are pure play AI companies. What they do is build AI models. They do something that is novel and unique, that is offered either as a B2B or a B2C or both type of tool, okay? That's going to be an extremely limited number of businesses. That's my point. Every business on earth within the next decade is going to be using AI, whether they're cooking pizza or whether they're building software, okay? Everybody is going to be using AI. And my point is quite simple. It's just that the AI part of this becomes redundant, and it's going to become redundant very, very quickly. And so, Dharmesh from HubSpot, who launched recently Agent.ai, and does in fact want Agent.com, but doesn't want to pay the price that we're selling it for yet, but he will. And anyways, it was funny in his newsletter on Agent.ai. He actually made my point for me, which was that when OpenAI announced ChatGPT GPT 5 that they were working on it, and explained what that feature set might look like, it immediately made like even GPT 4 made like 70% of all of the AI companies that have launched over the last 12 months irrelevant, because they instantaneously just became a feature of the larger models. And that's what's going to happen with 99% of all of these companies that exist today, and the ones that are going to launch over the next 12 months or the next 24 months. Sure, some of those guys are going to use .ai when they launch, and then they're never going to make a profit because you're not going to be just like SaaS, right? Like the small businesses just become a feature set of the larger ones, because consumers aren't going to have 99 different subscriptions. They're going to have 1, 2, 3, maybe. And each one's going to be in a certain vertical.
No,
maybe
I get.
Look, maybe there's a general cap.
Look, I get everything you're saying, and I think and sort of
not
the
going
other.
to be thousands and thousands of AI companies that want a .ai domain name. That's my whole point. And so if you want to play bingo, and you're like, look, I'm going to get a bunch of these .ai domain names, and one of those, I don't call it 100, even if it's 1,000 AI companies that exist 2 years from now, 5 years from now, if they choose my domain, I hit a home run. Great, go play bingo, no problem. You probably have better odds on a bingo table, but like that's not a business model. This isn't a sustainable investment. This isn't. Oh, let me go buy hundreds of .ai domain names. Now, if you got them for nothing 2 years ago, more power to you. Congrats, you're going to make money. But my point is, if you're buying these for $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 today as an investment, how are you going to make money? Who's the buyer? There's not going to be that many companies that even buy these things.
Totally get it. And that's great. Thing
I'd like to know what Ammar and Larry think about that. Agree, disagree?
I don't think is my mic working again? Okay, great.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I mean, there are going to be limited companies to resell these things to in the future. And I agree with you that a lot of the features that a lot of these companies have will be actually swallowed up by larger companies. So you're right on target in terms of that. I've never been a fan of country code, 2-letter TLDs. So, while it does work for certain companies, it's not the place I'd be investing my money in.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Also, I think there's probably 100 names that are investment worthy, probably in .ai, or that are worth paying up for, right? But
right. Yeah.
I mean, look, if you can get a .ai, a decent one for a couple $100, $500, whatever, great. You'll find a buyer for 5K or 10K or whatever. But I think there's a limited number of names of the quality of, call it a chat, a agent or whatever, right? Whatever it is. And that's, I do think that's correct. Right. And 100% agree with Drew's statement. I think it's going to be less than 10 years that every single business on earth will incorporate some component of AI. It's just going to be, it's not a,
and then why do you have AI in your name? Right. It's just redundant.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair point. And like I said, I want to get Andy on the show. Just to have him on the show anyway, because he's a friend and
but he
an OG as well. So
yeah.
And I don't want to be putting words in his mouth either. We they mentioned just being somewhat, AI friendly, right, if you will. So now, like, I apologize for kind of bringing him on the show as like sort of as if we've kind of created the straw man with them. Like, I'd rather bring Andy on the show and let him talk about it more. I guess my question was more, and I appreciate everything you guys are saying, and I agree. I think that it's all about the price you buy it at versus what you're trying to do with it. I think that it will become very foundational, sort of backbone, like just like internet is for us, right? Like, you're a company that uses the web, you're an online business. You don't use necessarily online as your descriptive.
There used to be a time when everybody was America Online, Chess Online. It's like, oh, we do that thing that about in the real world, but now we do it online, and now everything is just implied online. And if you're adding online to your name, it's redundant because there's already a domain extension attached to it, right? So it just becomes redundant. It's like GoogleSearch.com. That Google doesn't need the word search after the word Google. It just that's irrelevant, right?
Yeah. No, I get it. The question I was bringing up, because when I first heard the news about Sam being fired and ousted from OpenAI, right? I thought, okay, well, that's interesting if it's going to create sort of more of a fractured space to give you more companies to potentially sell to, but it probably only just creates one more. And in this case, it's not because he's just ending up at Microsoft.
Exactly.
You know?
So it does create an opportunity. Somebody's going to get that golden ticket, whatever that name that they choose.
It's just,
somebody's going to get the golden ticket.
On that note, like though, so I spent $5,000 on a .ai name 5 years ago, which was most people thought was stupid. And at this point, I don't think I think it'll pay off nicely. But I do think, like I said, there's probably 100 names that are of that quality. Yeah. And I think that, the name I bought was wisdom.ai. And I really like that.
Good one.
So
I'm glad you have the wisdom
I think
to buy
that's one that could pay off, right? But to your point, if you're just buying everything with .ai, it's like mug.ai. What the fuck do you do with that? I don't know. But I guarantee you somebody
it uses artificial intelligence to know what you want to drink and when you want to drink it.
Yeah,
like it turns your coffee.
Keeps your coffee at just the right temperature.
Right. Exactly.
The M does stop for Microsoft, maybe Microsoft User Group.ai or something like that. So
okay, right. But what I bet you if mug.ai went to auction on this next round, it would go for over 10K.
Sure. Yeah, right? And I agree. And I think it's a stretch. That you would get that kind of value that you would need to justify paying 10K for.
Exactly.
It.
You can sell it for 10K.
Again, I just thought I was talking more about the impact of this all happening, like what just happened over the course of the weekend. Because again, when I originally thought of it, I thought, wow, like what we were seeing consolidation already in the space across Grok and ChatGPT and a couple of things that looked like they were early leaders in the clubhouse to become these like really big institutional sort of like players that everybody was going to
But
utilize.
It wasn't even really consolidation, right? Because there was not a lot of M&A happening. It was a limited amount. There was some.
I guess I meant leaders were just emerging relatively quickly. Yeah.
GPT-3 to GPT-4 now includes, all of those like image generation. Like
Mid-Journey and a bunch of other stuff.
Mid-Journey, all irrelevant.
Well, that's what I mean. It's not it's not consolidation through M&A, but it's almost like the leaders were establishing themselves as such big players that it's like, we don't need a bunch of sub companies, but there will be support and other things. And I guess my thinking initially, knowing that OpenAI had 500, 700 employees, was that, hey, if this thing's going to fracture and sort of split up, and now you might have more startups and things that are going to start happening in and around the space because the talent is just dispersing. But now it seems like it's actually
the app market is a great analogy.
It's crazy that it's not even, Go ahead. Sorry.
The app market is a great analogy, right? So in the early days of personal computing, like somebody created a calculator app. Wow, how clever I am. I created a calculator app. Everybody needs a calculator on their computer. And then it just became a feature of every PC out of the box. And then somebody had a calendar app. And then somebody had a messenger app and a mail app. And all of these things just became baked in features of the 3, 4, 5 large players in the market. And then nobody was willing to ever pay for it again. And if nobody's willing to pay for it, you can't make a business out of it. And so I just don't see who the pool of buyers for these things
I'm
is
going to disagree
beyond the next 24 months.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with that statement. So, and this addresses also something Larry had talked about, is he doesn't like the 2-letter CCTLD extensions. And I think that there's always going to be a market for those names. It's just, I think the problem with maybe what Andy's saying, and I'm not sure, I don't want to misinterpret, he should be the one that clarifies, but he's almost, it sounds like saying that the .ai in some cases may be preferable to the .com, right? And I always
saying that.
That's the part.
I said in
that's
some
the
cases.
part I'm saying. Yeah, that's the part I'm saying is a flash in the pan.
Right.
Because my thesis, which has been my thesis for a very long time, is that .com is always the preference. And if you look, I've never found an exception to this. .com is just always the preference. There's nobody that would rather have .ai because there is inherent risk to anything else. There's security risk. There's government risk. Like, okay, you're AI, right? Okay, great. You go build $1 billion company on a .ai domain name. Your entire connection to your customers, to your suppliers, to the internet itself, to all other nodes in your network are all channeling through a .ai domain name. That .ai domain name is subject to the rules, regulations, and governance, and the changes thereto by the Anguilla government. Do you know who the president of Anguilla is? Does Anguilla have a president? I don't know. Is it a dictator? Is it a democracy? I don't know. Do they have rules? Like most people that have a .co domain, they've never read the terms and conditions. Okay,
Yeah, you're talking about
They
my
don't
boy
know.
Ellis Webster, man, the current premier of Anguilla. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
What's up?
listen,
Big shout
hats
out.
off to Ellis Webster, man. You got a tiger by the tail. I hope you can tame it. But
Well,
listen,
yeah.
.co, for example, this is a perfect example. You have lots of companies that have gone out and built businesses. We've had customers that come in and say, well, I'm not going to pay that for the .com. We're going to just use this .co. I bought an afternet for $4,000. Okay, great. Come back to me in 2 years after you've realized your mistake. So what happens
And real
is
quick,
they don't
real
read
quick,
the terms and conditions. Can I just finish?
Yeah, sure. Your show.
In those terms and conditions from the Colombian government, which owns .co, okay, you cannot use it for anything that is illegal in the country of Colombia. And there are things that are illegal in the country of Colombia that are not illegal in the America and vice versa. And so you are restricted and you don't even know what those restrictions are. For example, do you know how many cannabis companies have a website on a .co domain name? Cannabis is completely illegal. The marketing of cannabis, the discussion of cannabis, the selling of cannabis, everything to do with cannabis is completely illegal in the country of Colombia and extremely critically enforced. It is in the terms and conditions specifically even called out against cannabis. There are all sorts of other things that are illegal and restricted and that you cannot do on a .co domain name because it's owned by the country of Colombia. And you are entering into a contract that is ultimately governed by their jurisdiction. And the same is with Anguilla.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's actually something that Barry Hill had alluded to in one of the posts that I saw on, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was in the Twitter thread or it was on somebody's article, but yeah, I think the political and call it the terms and conditions, with regards to those extensions, it's an interesting point and very good one.
Yeah, but my point was on a different argument. Is that Drew said you can never build a business around these other extensions. And I'm saying I think you can. And I mean, all of us, well, I don't know if Larry, if you traffic at all in the other extensions, but I've sold plenty of .io.
You're a trafficker, Larry?
I've sold plenty of .cos. I've sold plenty of other extensions, and they're not going to make you rich, I guess, unless maybe you're doing it in crazy volume. But there is a business to be built, and there's a model around that. And I think the same thing will continue for .ai. But my point, I guess, was that where I agree with Drew is I just don't think you're going to have those $500,000, $2 million sales of your .ai. I think that's going to go away. I think that's a very short window.
Yeah, you might have 50 of them, right? But
it's a short window.
I don't think you have that many.
Window.
I don't
think so either. I think there's probably 10. But we shall see. I put it this way. In most of these trends that we've seen over the last 25 years of domain names, or let's just say technology in general, most of these trends, as they mature, the spectrum actually gets wider. And with AI, I think it's the exact opposite. As it matures, the spectrum will get narrower and narrower because the competitive edge to being early and having more data and more compute literally is an impenetrable moat. It is basically like if OpenAI hadn't messed up by just creating this destruction over the last 72 hours, it would be very difficult for anybody to surpass where they were at, other than, let's say, maybe Google, who's just has more data and is doing whatever it is they're doing, just not in the consumer consciousness quite yet, or Grok, which has an infinite live stream of data and human consciousness through Twitter, and Grok is if you think about I wouldn't discount Grok because I think that, again, two main things. It's data and compute. And I don't, Elon has proven his ability to build hardware. And so I would not discount his ability to create massive data centers and compute, which he's already been doing anyways. And second is data. And if you look at Grok, it's like, all right, Tesla has been training AI for, what is it now, 10 years, right? They've been accumulating massive amounts of data through all of their Tesla cars. Every Tesla car that's on the road today is literally accumulating more and more data, weather data, traffic data, road data, driver data, all sorts of data. I can't even imagine the amount of data that these cars are collecting and feeding it back to the parent company, which ultimately will be a data source for Grok. And then Twitter and, whatever other, who knows if, SpaceX and all the satellites that they've got. He's got a massive data moat. But the point is that, let's say those are the three. Maybe Facebook is going to, have something meaningful. But they seem to be pivoting really to like a consumer thing where it's going to be, more of an agent. And maybe Apple will have it, but it's going to, nobody's going to, no 25-year-old in Silicon Valley is going to wake up and go, you know what? I'm going to build the next OpenAI because it's just
but there are
done. You got Anthropic, you've got
things
five, six, let's call it 10 and be conservative. You got 10 players, and every day that passes, they become stronger, and the difficulty to catch up to them gets greater.
Yeah,
and I think that makes this a really unique trend where, again, it just gets narrower and narrower and narrower. I think if you look out 2 years, let's say we have 10 now, at least in the West. If you have 10 now, in 2 years, you'll probably have 6 or 5.
Yeah, but I think there'll still be a lot of ancillary activity and stuff. But but to the size and scope needed to be able to.
But don't just make. This is the stuff that pisses me off on Twitter. Don't make such a statement. Tell me why. Why do you think there's going to be lots of ancillary activity?
Because so I look
people
at
are
it
going
like
to use AI tools being built by these 5 or 10 companies, and they're going to build other things with them. But those won't be AI tools. Those will be things that people need that are being achieved through AI.
Sure. I look at it like you mentioned before, talking about Google search, right? There's plenty of companies that utilize Google. I mean, just think about all the pay-per-click companies, the SEO companies that exist that provide services utilizing, how to best manipulate and, allow their customers.
Isn't that my point?
I mean, maybe
do those companies
making
have
the same
search
point.
in their name? Do those companies have search in their name?
I mean, there might be one or two, you know what I'm saying? Yes, I said that. My point was, I think there'll be plenty of ancillary activity, but not necessarily justifying the need for all these .ai domains is what I said. So I was really agreeing with you, but
yeah,
I'm going to start using the mute button.
I guess
that's
my
what I'm going
point
to do because I can't.
One sentence is
Should I do it?
It only makes sense to have a .ai domain if you are a pure play AI company. And there will only be a very, very limited number of pure play AI companies.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. All right, let's get into the domain game. Let's talk some domain stuff, and let's let Larry get some words in edgewise. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh, I didn't realize we're allowed to talk. I thought it was just.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. All right. So, Larry, you got to buy, you got to sell. You good to play the domain game with us? What's up?
I'm not really sure how it goes.
Okay, so this is the way that it works here is that you take a name that you either bought or sold recently. You tell us what the name is. That's it. You just tell us the name. And it could be a name that you bought. It doesn't have to be a big ticket one like some of the big ones that you guys usually do. And then we will all guess the price that you either bought or sold for. And then everyone does that. The three of y'all. And then once the scores are tallied at the end, we see who won the game, and the winner gets a little bit of swag.
Let Ammar go first because I have a couple of names that I need to check if I have NDAs on. Which
I love it. That's all good. We'll go on the reverse. That is no problem.
Okay.
All right, Ammar, what you got, dog?
All right. I got a sale, and it is not .com. To my point earlier. I actually have two. I have a .org and a .com. So, but we'll just go with the .org just to stay on topic. bbq.org.
Barbecue, bbq.org. I love me some short.orgs. I tell you, I really do.
bbq.org. And Larry, the way we do it too is,
bbq.org. That's a great name, man.
if you've got your
That's a
phone
great
close
name. If you
by or
undersold
something
that,
where you
I'm
can
gonna be
put
so
it in the
disappointed.
sorry, Drew, not to cut you off there. We're in the calculator app. You put the price and flip your phone, so we all like. So this way we don't go around and game the system. So you just or you
yeah.
can write it down on a piece of paper. You can just anywhere that you can. When we say, all right, show us what you think, and then we all flip it at the same time. All right, so we're talking barbecue.org, and it was a sale. You said you sold it. All right, barbecue.org. What is Ammar sell barbecue.org for? All right, I'm gonna do. All right, here we go. All right, Larry, you got a guess?
Yeah, I did 35K.
Okay, well,
Oh.
we'll all flip. All right, so all right. Oh, okay. So I've got $11,995. Drew's got $24,895.
Wait. Is this like sort of like what's that one week?
Price is Right?
Price is Right?
Yeah, but it's closest to the pin. It's not closest
Closest to
without
the
going
pin.
over.
Even if you go over, it's okay.
Yeah. So, and you said you were 35 grand. Is that your number?
35. I believe in Ammar. I believe Ammar exercising and getting every drop of blood from that name.
All right.
You're right, Ammar. Prove me right.
That's actually not how I work, but wow, Drew, $5 off.
No, wow. Ooh, that's big. That's a big shot. That's a slam dunk. So Drew had it just about at 25,000. So that's
yeah,
the
24,900 was the price. And
wow. Okay.
Oh wow! So it was actually $5 less. I
Yeah.
would 20. Yeah, wow.
So I actually think that's a really good sale for that name because
I do too.
I think I do agree. I love .orgs, but they have to kind of make sense. And I think for bbq.org, I don't know who bought it, but it was a buy now on Dan, but or maybe after Nick, I don't remember. But I think that only makes sense for like an association, right? So maybe that's who bought it, or
Well,
I don't think a retail store is going to be bbq.org, even,
okay, here's what I would say. I will use this to make a shameless plug. So we recently launched dn.org, okay? And dn.org is a non-commercial. It's meant to be an encyclopedia about domain names, about the domain name industry, about every aspect of domain names. I don't know. I think we have 20,000 articles up there right now, and we will expand that over time. And, the idea is to basically just create a reciprocal where there is a singular sort of single source of knowledge and information, seemingly unbiased about an industry. And I think barbecue is people, there's a real community in that space, hardcore.
Right.
So I think .org lends itself to anything that has like a community around it, where there's engagement and passion.
Okay, I'll agree with that. But I'm saying it's.
But so let's say you make like the green egg, right? Some of these like real like niche community driven brands in the barbecue industry, like it would make a lot of sense to own barbecue.org and build out a forum and build out a knowledge base and have videos and all that stuff, right? It would be a great way to drive
two things.
Consumer engagement.
Yeah,
right,
two things.
Visibility.
So Drew meant receptacle, not reciprocal, right?
Yes.
Drew meant, when Drew said reciprocal, I think he meant receptacle. Just trying to play grammar police because I like correcting Drew. But the other thing, it'd be really interesting if it turns out it has nothing to do with
doing that all day. I mean,
it keeps me busy, Larry. It keeps me busy. But it'd be interesting if it turns out not to be barbecue at all, right? Like if it's literally like if it's an acronym for something that we're not even thinking about, and it comes out and it's like some kind of like, I just don't know what the Q would lend itself to. But
beautiful QAnon lovers.
Yeah, what did you big beautiful Q? What did you buy it for? How long do you have it? Give us some details on the acquisition.
So let me see when I got it. I paid like a little over $3,000, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so, which, let's see, and I've had it since, so I paid 34, 33 and in 2016. So 8 years, 7 years.
Okay.
Not bad. It's about, double it every year.
Yeah, something like that. So I was happy with it. I don't think it got a lot of inquiries. So I feel like it was a good price. And but to Larry's point earlier, I don't think I extract every dollar. I think I price my names well. And
I was trying to just give you a compliment, knowing that you always sell it.
I do. I think I sell generally at good numbers, but especially these are kind of names where, in my philosophy at least, I just like to price them, right? And maybe they would have paid 50K, but if they saw a 50K buy now, they may not have pushed it, clicked on it.
Yeah.
25K buy now, they clicked on it. I didn't have to think about it.
I'm going to give you guys a name that I just looked up. No one will guess it right, but the name is watchforum.com.
So watchforum.com, is that the name?
.org. Oh no, .com.
It is .com. All right, watchforum.com, and then we got some other things to talk about. All right, let's see. You sold this name?
Sold this name.
Watchforum.com. All right.
I got my number.
I'm good too. Ready? 1, 2, 3, flip. Oh wow. Okay. So I'm like, all right. So I'm at 4,995.
JT, you think Larry's getting out of bed for 40?
I'll explain why in a second. Hold on. Ammar's at 25,000 and Drew's at 49,000. Well, because Larry said offline, he said, I had no use for this name, so keep that in mind. So I thought, okay, well,
okay. Larry is a serious watch lover. And when Larry says, I have no use for this name, it just means that he wasn't holding out for 7 figures.
Fair enough.
No, Drew, this is where I'm actually one of the easiest people to negotiate with. At least I think.
Oh, yeah. I don't. I would argue that I've probably negotiated with like more people than 99% of human beings on this planet, because it's basically every day there's at least 2-3 people that I'm negotiating with, and I'm at an absolute minimum. And I'm not talking about responding to a random offer.
Right.
And you are in the top 5 most difficult people to negotiate with I've ever dealt with in my life.
Man, all right, well, that's high praise coming. That's high praise coming from Drew.
Well, so, if we're doing Price is Right rules, you win. That's all.
Okay.
I'll say. But the actual number, do I got to write it down or just tell you guys?
No, just tell us.
20K.
20K. Okay.
20.
So you were close.
So I won.
Yeah, but I said, without going over.
Oh.
But you were the close.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mar was really close. So
and we got that name. Believe it or not, you guys remember Name Winner?
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the first drop services. And I think we got it for either $59 or $69.
Oh, man.
Tell you, Name Winner goes back, so it's at least 15 years earlier. Just sitting there. And when that's like your first offer in 15 years, you really consider doing a deal.
Wait, so that was the opening offer?
No, the opening offer was like 1,000 or 2,000. And Andrew's right. I don't get out of bed for that. Yeah, we had to get it up. And when he finally got to 20, we did the deal. So.
Yeah. All right. So you bought the name back in the day. So 15 years, bought it for $50, sold it for 20,000. I mean, it's
ROI. Yeah. I mean, but you have to realize that, you have a lot of names that are still sitting there.
Oh yeah, though. That's why I was asking about the general size. I mean, you're talking thousands of names.
Yeah, in the thousands. Yeah.
Ish. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. It's in line with what I would have expected, knowing you and your biz and all that kind of stuff. And but yeah, well, I think that's one of the biggest things. And when we go over the NameJet list, which we'll do here in the next segment, it's one of the key things that we try to impart on new domain investors is really the tail, how long you've got to hold on to names in order to get the value. That's why, Ammar, I mean, your sale, I think, is fantastic. I would have gladly, hey, you want to turn 3,000 into 20,000, 25,000. You'll do it all day, but that's 2016 investment of $3,000. That's not a small amount to just put in to something and say, hey, I'm gonna in 8 years. Let's see if I can 10, 12 exit, and it's So it's it's not for the faint of heart or the light of light and capital. You're not necessarily, unless you hit big early and then can fund the rest of your activity. It's a it's a long time at times. So, all right, well, good stuff. All right, so points wise, Ammar's got a point, Drew's got a point. Drew's got to put the next one up. So it means if Ammar gets this next one, he is the winner.
Mhm.
And then depending on how else it otherwise goes, we'll see if we need to have some kind of an overtime or something like that. So what you got?
All right. I'm gonna go with a small buy, but I'm gonna overshadow it with a large buy that I can't disclose the price.
Okay.
Just to alleviate my feelings of inadequacy. I am very excited that we acquired MJ.com back. We sold it years ago.
Let's go.
And we bought it back, moved it back over to our side of the ledger. Very excited to have that name back. Very special name. But I can't disclose the price.
Was it for more or less than you originally bought it?
Oh, less than I.
No, originally sold it.
No,
It's actually for, I believe. Actually, I think without don't hold me to this, but I think it's actually for the exact same price I originally bought it for.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. That's an amazing name.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There is actually a two-letter .com that just got announced as being bought.
CF.com.
CF.com
sold to Chatham Financial. Totally, off the radar financial organization. Boom, they're on a two-letter.com now. And
I mean, that's huge. Well, and then
Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, you name it.
what do you think it went for? I have no idea. But what do you think?
CF, I would say at a minimum 2 million, and my guess is closer to 5.
My 5 is the number I was thinking.
Yeah, 3 to 5 seems to be the clearing price for most of these lately.
Well, and what's crazy too is that in somebody posted just the different companies that use CF as an acronym, Cloudflare and a handful of these enormous companies that now will never, get this opportunity again. Like you talk about off the market forever, and there's an example of there's probably 10 companies that are bigger than Chatham Financial that now, gone. Had the opportunity. No longer have the opportunity, and as the world continues to move along to digital and trustless.
I mean, we sold. I can't disclose numbers, but I mean, we sold EM.com a couple months ago, and you can go to EM.com. It just started resolving last week. It's enterprise mobility now, which is basically enterprise rent cars. They rebranded to enterprise mobility because they wanted to be more than what they were, or they were already doing more than what people interpreted them to be.
Thought they were.
And that took it off the market for ExxonMobil, right? ExxonMobil will never own EM.com, which is crazy thing. I mean, this would have been literally, it's not even a rounding error for them, but they just didn't do it. So
it's a corporate retreat budget,
Yeah.
It's interesting. Their enterprise or EM is just forwarding at this point, but that's really
enterprise
cool.
Mobility is a very long,
right?
You
exactly.
don't want to type in that. You know what I'm saying? I have a feeling people's email addresses are on EM.
Yeah. That's cool.
Exactly. Hey, man, let's go. All right. So that is the bigger picture acquisition, which you wanted to outlay.
Yeah. So the small domain acquisition, but near and dear to my heart, is 369.org.
Oh,
And why is it near and dear to your heart?
Yeah.
Tell you when it's over.
He knows that. He knows there's 3 tables.
Yeah, right. 369. You're right. All right. Well, I'm out on this one. So this is really just Larry and Ammar to see if this is going to go to OT or is Ammar going to take home?
Why? You don't know what I bought it for, do you?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think so.
So this was a buy.
I'm just trying to eliminate the appearance of impropriety in the game, man. I don't want.
Anyways, it wouldn't matter if you got it anyways. So
Well, I have all the swag. All right, let's go. What do you guys think? This is a 2-man race right now.
Ready, Larry?
Ooh, okay. $12.95 for Larry and $2,500 for Ammar.
Ammar nailed it right on the nose.
Oh, bang! Ammar, the big winner of the domain game today is Ammar Kuba, aka Ammar saying, "Let's go!" Yeah, add some fireworks and some applause and stuff in post production. So
add that, Billy. Add that.
Let's go again, Billy. Let's go, Billy. All right, cool. So talk to us why.
I just, I've been on this kick. I'm just for a while now. I've just been reading, basically studying everything related to Nikola Tesla's philosophies, and basically the key principle behind everything was this numerical sequence of 3, 6, and 9, and that those numbers basically hold the keys to unlocking, all the principles of the universe. And I had some ideas of something I wanted to do with 369. So, yeah,
that's very cool.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, 3's my favorite
so
number.
it's like his version of a Fibonacci sequence, or
that's what it sounds like.
In a sense, yeah. Well,
3's
basically, I think he would say that the Fibonacci sequence is a result of 369.
Got it.
It's interesting. 3's my favorite number. Shout out to Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? That was his jersey number.
And Ammar, congratulations. That was the winning prize for winning the game. So you get 369.org from
Well, that'd actually be a pretty solid that'd be a solid prize that you won. All right, well, good stuff. Well, that's the domain game. So appreciate Larry you playing and participating with us on that.
MediaOptions is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, MediaOptions offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. MediaOptions believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
All right, well, let's slide into NameJetGonnaJet. Does everybody have the list? So we're going to move into the next segment, which is NameJetGonnaJet. As y'all know, we talk about a bunch of names coming up for auction on NameJet. We see what the Sherpas like, what they don't like, which prices they think make sense, which ones they think folks should stay away from because they're going to go for too much money. And if you go to the DomainSherpa page that for this episode, you've got the spreadsheet that you can download that has the name, it has the estimate valuation. Take those with a grain of salt, as well as the back order end date, how many bids that it's got by the time that we recorded the show, and some other helpful information as well. So check it out. Not financial advice, but definitely, hopefully that helps y'all. So in the meantime, I'm giving my guys an opportunity to pull up the sheet so that they've got it in front of them. Let me know if any of y'all need it.
Got it.
By the way, looks like the market likes the Microsoft move. Microsoft was almost 2%. Now it's like 1.3.
Yeah, but I thought I definitely am underexposed to Microsoft after this deal. Just because you know what it is? It's not only the deal that they made, but the fact that they were willing and able to do it, right? The fact that they pulled this move as quickly as they did. These companies move slow. Big companies don't move quickly. And to be able to be like, hey, Sam.
Yeah, but Microsoft has literally and quite publicly said, look, we are all in, right? And so if you're all in on an investment, you have to, that was, I don't want to say that it's a no-brainer because I don't think most executives would have had the foresight and the timing and the balls really to have made the moves that they did. But in hindsight, it was clearly a necessity.
Now, do you?
This is their chance to basically recreate, or not recreate, but to create a new kind of office franchise.
It's the second coming of Microsoft.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the scary part is, well, I don't know what's scary, but I think there's a degree of overhype, right? So I think the market might be getting ahead of itself on that. And so I'd be I would really think about it if you're trying to trade, right? Like you'd want it. This is a long-term hold, because at this price, you're probably.
Does anybody think that there's a chance, with 500 people still threatening to quit, that this thing could reverse and board changes and he now comes back? Sure Microsoft would be fine with that.
I think that there's a very good chance, because I don't know really what's left of OpenAI without that. And then you've got a bunch of board members which are going to go down in history as having made some of the poor, basically one of the worst decisions, and created, basically capital destruction on a scale we've never seen. But, does it really matter for Microsoft either way? Right? I'm not sure which. Basically, all the money that was going into OpenAI is going right back to Microsoft either way, right? And so, in the end, this is almost better for Microsoft, but because just probably for accounting purposes, but
right.
I don't know that it matters.
I mean, last I heard, it was still an open question as to whether he goes back or not. So,
yeah. I mean, in the end, look, it's only been 72 hours, and everybody's like, these are big things to solve. These are, high dollar, high stakes decisions. I don't know that
I think
people
that
should be
Sam
making
would Sam even
decisions.
go back? I mean, here's the thing: if they came back now and said, "Hey, we're going to fire the board, our bad. We're going to get a new board."
Sam has clearly left all of his options open.
Yep.
Sam has played this smarter than pretty much everybody. I mean, I think I think all options are still on the table, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I guess my point is I appreciate that, and I mean, yeah, if he has the choice, sure, his options are open. Does he even go back? Because now it's like, look, he's created this sort of situation for himself where I can't even imagine the size of the
shares
check.
in Microsoft, right? So it's
the size of the check that he's getting to move over. He's like, I'm good. I don't need to go back to the nonprofit.
But listen, Sam. I mean, Sam is set for life. This next 10 generations of Sam are set for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sam was super successful before OpenAI, right? So I'm not sure that the money is, I think you are literally playing God. Okay. If you are at the top of the pyramid of one of these LLMs, you are, I would argue, at least for all of modern human history, the closest to playing God that any human has ever been, right? You are creating a new being, in essence. And that being may or may not be more powerful and dictatorial over the human species. So I think that there is a lot more, I think power and the ability to achieve his objectives, whatever those objectives may be, his ability to achieve success, however he defines that, are probably the things driving him much more than money.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair point. So, so we shall see. All right, well, look, let's get into this NameJet list and NameJetGonnaJet and see what y'all like and what you don't like. All right, Larry, we usually, there's 15 names on the list, so you got about 5 that you can pick from. I'm sorry, there's 5 until I cut you off and move along to the next so that you don't take them all, if you will. But what do you think? What jumps out to you as a name that you're interested in, and what do you like, and what maybe one that you don't?
Jumped out at me, which would be like one that I'd buy. I'm still looking at, but I definitely like Smart Lock. I mean, you go into a house, everything's smart, and
except the people.
Well, it depends on the house. Smart like that. I mean, it's not a high appraised number, but I think it's a 6-figure. It could be a 6-figure name easily. Okay. I like Photoshoot. I just again, what just hits me. And the other name that gets me is Lurch. I just think it's a cool name.
Lurch.
Yeah.
All right, Lurch. Little Adams
Lurch.
family, and which has gotten a bit of a renaissance.
Larry just got a new AKA
on Netflix. Well, I mean, hey, that shows, the Addams Family's back. Wednesday, the show Wednesday on Netflix has got, that all kind of hyped up again, and it is kind of a cool name, and it means something. And
Lurchy Larry.
Is there something that you would not be interested in? I mean, so look, every name's worth maybe a bid, but like, is there a name that you think, hey, this is either going to go for too much money, or I just don't see any kind of real audience to try to sell this thing?
I don't have my dictionary in front of me, but I'm not sure what Epicurus is.
Okay.
It's a Greek god or a Greek,
you would know about the Greek gods. Okay.
Exactly.
Of Epicureanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's actually a really nice name. I like that.
Yeah, I love that name. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then why don't one of you guys take it from here and talk about that or some other stuff on the list?
Go ahead, Ammar.
All right. Epicurus. I like that. I like Intelligente. That's a great name. So this whole list actually is really, really good. Every single name on here has value, in my opinion. Intelligente I like.
Certain weeks when I put the list together, I'm encouraged because it's like, depending, and it also depends on if we haven't done a show in a week, that allows some names to start to build up. So I'm not having to pick all the good ones, but there was a lot of stuff on here that I was like, all right, this is going to be a solid month for NameJet.
Right. I guess, like I said, a lot of the names are good. I'll say the one I probably like the least is probably Spy Stuff. And that or telemarketing are the two I like the least. Oh, and then Bullfrog obviously is a great name. That's a really nice name, but telemarketing and Spy Stuff I don't love.
Well, it's telemarketing.net, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that obviously gives it, gives it some challenges right from the beginning. You don't like Spy Stuff? I mean, I think everything depends on the acquisition price, right? So when you're talking about these names, everything is within the context of what you think.
I like Spy Stuff. I think, it's not, you're not going to get rich on Spy Stuff.
That's what I mean. I guess,
But it's a good, it's a good commercial name. People love to buy spy shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a big category. So,
but I guess I'm saying in comparison to these other names, to the other names, I think those are the two least valuable, probably.
All right. So then, Drew, you what do you think?
I mostly agree with these guys. I mean, the great list. I don't know that there's any name on here that I would just like let expire if it was my portfolio.
No.
Buildingbrands.com is kind of, I don't know, just kind of, I don't know. Look, there's search. It's got search, right? So it's just, it has value. You can't say this name has no value. There's search volume, but I just don't know, I don't think it's a worthy name. It's, I just don't like it. But I really like Epicurus.com. I really like Bullfrog.com. I really like SmartLock.com. I love Intelligente.com.
Sounds like you and I will be talking.
Stay away from Aspartame.com. That shit will give you cancer.
I thought it was aspartame.
It is.
I don't know. How do you pronounce it?
Aspartame. How did you pronounce it?
Cancer. I don't care how you pronounce
it. He's been in South America and Europe too long. He's like aspartame.
Aspartame.
Intelligente. Great list. All these names are pretty good. I mean, even a name like Active Care, like, Active Care. If I were to say, what's the name on this list that has the highest delta between what you're probably going to pay and what it probably could sell to an end user, where do you find the biggest profit margin, the biggest delta? probably it's something like Active Care. You probably get Active Care for under $1,000, or maybe you pay $1,000, something like that. But if you get the right end user on that, that's a $25,000 to $50,000 domain.
Now with your endorsement, it's going to go more than $1,000.
It is going to go more. You're welcome, NameJet. Your sponsorship.
Thanks, NameJet.
Well spent.
Just making your sponsorship worth it.
There you go.
But legitimately, and the other one that I think is in that category, but probably a little bit lower scale, is Easy Max. It's one of these just really, there's a million brands out there like Easy Max, right? And so we're going to maximize how easy we make it for you to do X, right? And so I think Easy Max is one that's like, again, a couple hundred, maybe $1,000 you're going to buy it. And I think that's, eventually sells for 15 to 25 grand.
I'm always shocked when you get a business that is somewhat successful, and it doesn't have to be nationwide. I mean, local business making some money that refuses to spend 10 grand on a name like an Easy Max, Active Care kind of name that literally just makes you sound like a really professional, established business.
Well, that's why we're here, JT, because the problem is education. The problem is education. The average Joe that starts that business, whether it's a blue collar business or a service business or whatever it is, they don't know about internet marketing. They don't know, that the domain name makes all the difference. They just know, it's 10 grand that I didn't budget into building this business.
No, that's a fair point. I mean, I had a plumber come out and help do some stuff at the house not too long ago, and his domain name, I mean, great guy, super great work, pretty well known in our area. And his domain name, like, first of all, the link wasn't even working initially. They've since got it back up and running because I asked him, I said, hey, your site's not working. He's like, oh, I know, I got to call the web guy and does it, through a guy. And his website is like something solutions LLC, like .com, It might even be a dash in there, a hyphen, which although we did find out that hyphen names are kind of popping, but not that much that I would sit there when you can literally get yourself a snappy brand that has that kind of like legs where it's like it really just feels big and it feels bigger than it is, with your email addresses. Hey, I'm Steve at activecare.com. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It really is. It's really wild. So, and these do provide you with that kind of opportunity where, like you said, I mean, you can grab one of these I think they'll all, now that we're talking about them specifically, we'll go for a bit more, but Active Care, Smart Lock. I actually spy stuff now that the technology, all the cheap tech that all this is available. Like you could literally spy stuff. You could build a little store where you could drop.
But here's my point as a domain investor on spy stuff is why I don't put it in that Easy Max or Active Care categories, because you're probably going to pay $1-2 grand to get spy stuff in this auction. But the end user for that name, there certainly could be outliers where some big company pops up. But like the probability is that the end user for spy stuff, is a small to medium size e-commerce business, or hobby shop type of thing. And what are they going to pay? They're going to pay 5, 10,
5-10K tops.
And so you've got a small delta. It's like, but just to quickly highlight, like, what's the difference there? The difference is risk, right? The difference is probability and risk. And so spy stuff, I think it's like almost for sure. I haven't looked, but I would almost guarantee you, if you bought spy stuff, there's a buyer, right? And there's buyers out there that are at least going to pay what you paid, right? But not a lot more. Whereas, these other ones, you got to wait for the right buyer, most likely. But when they come, they're going to pay a lot more than, the buyer for spy stuff. Or at least they have the capability to pay a lot more.
Right. And that was my point, I guess, with spy stuff. I just didn't think there was going to be a lot of upside there.
Yeah.
It's a nice brand, but there's so many alternatives to that name. Right. So,
yeah, no, I think it makes sense. So, well, all good stuff. So, and like we talk about on the list, it's like,
take it from this international man of mystery himself.
It is all about it's all about the buy price, so and know what your what your best case and sort of mid and case scenario are for what you're trying to get for that name, and realistically what you can get for it. So all right, well, good stuff. So all right, well, that's the NameJetGonnaJet segment. That's the list, so definitely check it out, and shout out to NameJet. All right, well, we're almost out of time, but let's take a couple of minutes. Larry, I'll kick it over to you. This is sort of our grand closing piece where we allow the folks to kind of talk and promote and about whatever they want. I already mentioned you guys have the random thoughts. So this show will air on a Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. So this is technically our Thanksgiving show. So let me just say to everybody out there in the Sherpaverse, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We appreciate you guys. We touched on this a little bit when Drew and I were on the show last week, but very appreciative, not just, for the team and the folks who come on the show. So appreciate you guys being here today. And as always, but also to the audience and everybody that tunes in and all the support and, all that. Hopefully you guys get some value out of this, and we appreciate you appreciating us and all that good stuff. But but Larry, seeing you guys doing the show last, I think it was like a week ago or whatever. So the show, like I said, your next Random Thoughts will be a week from the day after the show airs. The first one, that was actually part of what sparked even, Drew and I were like, hey, we watched the show, said, we got to get Larry on Sherpa, man. He hasn't been on the show since I've been on it, and so appreciate you being on here for this. And what else you guys have going on? So talk about either the podcast or anything else you got.
A couple things. Number one, I think the last time I was on this show was a Halloween show. And
Yeah.
I love those shows. I love the Halloween.
Yeah, it was you, me, Adam Strong. Ammar might have been there.
It was last year?
No, it was like 2 years ago.
It was a woman
2 or 3.
Oh, Jen was on it. Probably.
Jen, yeah, I think it was Jen.
I was on that one.
Was that the one where Adam was dressed up as John Wick? Was that one?
No.
No, I think he was a pirate or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go back and see.
Getting back to some other stuff. Yes, I appreciate you guys do a great podcast and could never get to that level. You get totally different. But when Andrew asked me to be part of Random Thoughts, I thought, hey, it's great. Get a chance to stay in front of the public. We're doing, like you said, every other Thursday on the Hilco Digital Network. Also, domains. We still have a lot of high-end domains that we're selling, and names like we're kitchen.com. One of the names Andrew knows we have is avalanche.com, which I think can go in many different ways, especially for guys in the crypto space.
Sure, yeah, that's a great name too.
So
could go either way.
Yeah, we're working hard here, trying to just slaving away on these 20-hour days.
Yeah. Hey,
I think he was about to say 3-hour days, and then
he's like, I can't let him know it's banker's hours at this point. I've got to let him think.
I gotta thank both you guys for inviting me on the show, and Ammar for sitting there just looking pretty. So
as he does, man, he's got the lighting is starting to get his morning. Yeah, got the vibe going, the Vegas thing.
Right.
Yeah, man. And so you're are you still hanging out mostly in New York? Are you doing any traveling? Like what else is going on with you?
Back. We were away. We did northern Spain.
How'd you like it?
Loved it. The food, the wine, the people, everything. We started off in
the food gets a little redundant after I was up there for like 3 weeks, and after like the first 10 days I was kind of like, all right, I've had everything you can eat with garlic and oil.
Yeah, but the wine definitely helps you forget that.
For sure. Did you go to the Marquise?
Yes, I stayed there. We stayed there.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who don't know, it's a great winery, but more the building was built by Frank Gehry.
Frank Gehry, yeah,
really
great
cool.
architect.
And we ended up getting a case of wine sent from there that I just don't know how they're able to sell some of this wine so incredibly inexpensive compared to what high-end wines go for.
Which place is this?
Marquis de Rascal. It's a winery in northern Spain.
Rioja,
yeah.
Yeah, it's right in Rioja, and it's about an hour and a half to Esquibara. The I don't know if you went there or not. The Michelin star restaurant that Anthony Bourdain went to. That was
no.
he kind of made it famous. It's at the base of this mountain in the middle of nowhere. But we stayed there at that hotel, and then we drove to Esquibada. It's with the X. It's this, I can't remember. I think it's something like Esquibada. But amazing restaurant. Everything they do is on the grill, and they created these specific tools for the grill to be able to grill any ingredient. So like these tiny, tiny little baby eels, and they've got this like net that they put them in, and then they grill them.
Wow.
And then they do like grilled salt and grilled, just every ingredient that they serve you is grilled. They don't have anything else except grills.
Wow.
And it has a Michelin star, and it was one of the best meals I've ever had. I think we had it was like 18 courses. Just unbelievable.
It's funny. We actually flew from there. My wife and I went for 3 weeks. Then we flew and met the kids. We were supposed to go to Morocco, but after the earthquake, we ended up going to France, and we started in Lyon, which gastronomical capital of the world. Paul Bocuse and some of the other restaurants there, and then flew up to Normandy, where we got to see probably one of the most incredible sights, going to Normandy, the beaches that I've ever been to, and just beautiful, the whole scene over there. So, thank you for asking.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, man. Now I'm going down this Frank Gehry rabbit hole of like the,
Oh, he's probably the greatest living architect today. I think that's probably not too bold a statement. He, I lived in Panama for 10 years, and there's an incredible, it's called the Biodiversity Museum. And it's a museum that literally celebrates the biodiversity of Panama, because it's splitting the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. And so they have two giant aquariums inside, one representing the Atlantic, one representing the Pacific. They've got, it's a really, they're basically demonstrating how the different species, traversed North to South America, et cetera. And the evolutionary changes that happened as a result of that, and certain species that got isolated. And anyways, he built that museum as well, which is it's beautiful. It's a crazy
the building is crazy.
A crazy looking building. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He designed my law school. The art
Loyola
building there.
Loyola, that's where you're at?
Is that the Ammar Kuba wing?
Right.
It is the Ammar Kuba building at Loyola Law School.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I've been really, really getting into architecture lately. I mean, I've always been into it, but even more so lately. And it's just, his stuff is fantastic. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of his houses have been coming up for sale lately.
Yes. Yeah. And some of them at like reasonable, well, I guess relative.
Yeah, most of them.
Prices.
Well, most of them are like in the Midwest. They're in like nondescript locations in the Midwest, and they go for $750,000 to $2 million, and they're really beautiful. And these are really important pieces in American architectural history.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think he even has some stuff like in Pittsburgh, right? Is that where he's from originally? Because I remember like a coffee table book at my dad's house back in the day that like
I think there's a museum in Arkansas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, becomes the rabbit hole that'll take up the and then 2 hours later, Drew's like, "Hey, did you get the contract done?" I'm like, "No, but did you know that he did the Team Disney building in Anaheim?"
And then what happens? And then I'm like, "Yes, I already knew that."
Oh, on that note, all right, cool, man. Well, Larry, look, dude, I appreciate you taking the time to come on here. Like I said, once we saw you posting up online, it was like, hey, let's, it's one of the things we want to try to do here on Sherpa as we go into 2024 and beyond. There's a lot of really smart folks and good folks in the domain space who've been on the show in the past that, haven't been on in a while. And, we had Paige Howe on, about 2 weeks ago, and, just a lot of good, successful OGs, man. It's great to have you guys on to hear what you're up to and get your perspective on things. So much appreciated. And to the other guys as well, do you guys have anything before we call it for the day or what?
I was at F1 this weekend. It was
oh, yeah?
Yeah, I would say it was underwhelming.
Did you get your money back? There were a lot of folks who were like, because what was the deal? They had to shut the race down? Or?
It was pretty crazy. No, we only went for the actual race night, not the prelims or the qualifying.
Okay.
And I mean, it's amazing to see these cars go by at 200 whatever miles an hour, but I feel like it's not it's more like it's fun if you're going just for the party, right? But to actually be a spectator is not so, I don't know. It's like you can't really see because they're just going by like this.
Well, you didn't
dude,
have good enough seats, but they didn't.
I was right on the track.
What
but,
seats
I mean,
can
the
you
only-
be in
Well,
that's
but
going to make it
that's
like
not necessarily ideal.
Right. No, I
You
think
literally
the best seats are
You
probably
want the
on
curves, but because then they slow down into the curves, so you actually get number
But-
one. It's the best sound, right? Because they're slowing down into the curve and then accelerating out of the curve,
Right.
and so you have the best sound,
Right.
and you have the longest time frame to see the cars.
Right.
I was
But
obsessed
even then,
with
it's
Formula
still underwhelming, in my opinion.
I was never
Yeah,
NASCAR or even like a racing, any kind of horse racing, like all that stuff, man. It's like, okay, cool. That was great. You know what I mean? I agree with you. It's all about the party and the overall experience. I mean, being able to see the cars up close and pass you once or something, like you do get the, wow, that was like how intense and, you know, powerful and everything. And to Drew's point, you know, the sight, the sound, the feel of it. But it's kind of like, oh, okay, that was, you know, that was cool for the 10 seconds or whatever.
I've been to 4 tracks, 2 in Germany. You know, four actual Formula One races, 2 in Germany, Montreal, and Monaco. And I think Montreal is the only one that I actually like really had a great time. Like they just shut down the whole city, and it's like, or the whole inner city, St. Catherine Street, and it's just like a huge party for 3 days. It's an amazing environment. It's I think that's for me the best race to go to is Montreal. And the drivers will tell you that too. The drivers say that Monaco and Montreal are the 2 best races in the world. Now, since then, you've introduced Abu Dhabi and a bunch of other cities, but I don't know. I Singapore. I just don't. I don't. You know.
I'll say that Vegas, it was pretty spectacular, right? The spectacle of driving through the strip, right? At night, the race is at night, right? So at 10 p.m. to start. Like that part is really cool. And it was a fun experience, to JT's point. I was just underwhelmed by the actual race part.
Yeah.
He's like, you need the right seats. The right seats are the ones in the car. You know what I'm saying?
It also is not. It's also not as much fun as it used to be. I mean, for all the wrong reasons, right? I mean, they what they've done is increase safety, and you know, I don't know. The cars don't sound as good as they used to. They don't go as fast as they used to. They don't. It just, I don't know. The rules have changed, and I don't know. I lost interest, but
yeah.
But hey, you know, still it's a vibe. Speaking of Vegas, like I said, the ICA meeting that's coming up, like, let's go. One of the things,
and you can stay for Super Bowl a couple of weeks later.
Well, it'd be nice if the Eagles are in it, but you know, try to get some revenge. We actually have a revenge game tonight against the Chiefs. Which,
that's going to be a good game.
Let's go Eagles.
Let's go. Let's go Birds.
Good game.
But what do you call it?
I forgot Larry's a Eagles fan.
Yeah, are you really there?
Well, I root for. I'm in Philly a lot, so I happen to root for the Eagles. I just like them.
Oh, dude, let's go, man! I didn't realize that. That's awesome. And I know you got some Villanova ties as well, right? So,
yeah. I have one son went to Villanova, the other went to Penn. So
yeah. Oh, dude, Penn beat Villanova. Though I don't know if that was in basketball about a week ago.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I miss the old days. I miss Coach Wright. So
yeah, well, you know, he's still around and involved, but he was a special guy. And
oh man, all right, I got to throw this out here. This just popped up on my feed here. You know, a few days ago, it was big news that SnoopDogg was going to quit smoking weed, and it was so obvious that was not going to be real. And so it just popped up. Yeah, no, it's a promotion for this thing called Solo Stove. Go smokeless. It's like you know, one of these smokeless wood burning outdoor heater things. Oh man.
Yeah, so he got you. You thought he was gonna quit.
You got everybody.
Hey, you got to love those marketing campaigns, and man, when they can kind of build that up a little bit and use the reputation of whoever it is.
That's
and
funny
Snoop
because you know
being
what?
such
I
a
actually
dude,
just they're literally saying "Go smokeless" is like the motto. I think we just sold a few weeks ago. We just sold GoSmoke.com for cheap, like $2,500 or something. I think.
Well, it could be could turn out that we
Anyways, but
undersold
they,
it.
that's Go Smoke, not Go Smokeless.
Yeah.
Oh,
But real quick, the point I was trying to make is that in Vegas with the ICA meeting, I think we're trying to, the night before the session starts on the Wednesday night, we're actually trying to go to the Sphere, and so which I think would be awesome. It's not a U2 night, so it's whatever happens like on the off nights, and
yeah, there's a separate show. I have some people in my building that went to see it. They said it was fantastic. So
yeah, I'm excited, man. Is it like a Cirque du Soleil kind of thing, or what's the?
I just think it's like some crazy, like immersive visual type experience.
Also awesome. Super down. So let's go Sphere. All right, cool. All right. Well, does anybody else have anything else? Ammar, you got anything?
No, just happy to see you guys.
Yeah, man. Well, happy to see you too. And again, to the audience, guys, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We appreciate y'all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, my co-host today. You guys are great. And to the audience, like I say in every show, thank you for tuning in. Without you, there is no us. So I hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Miller made some points in his Sunday thoughts on LinkedIn. He said it's a very happy time for a lot of folks, not necessarily happy for everybody. So, check in on some people. It is an opportunity to just kind of look around and, just make sure you're touching, making contact with people and anybody, especially that you think could use it. Maybe even those that you don't, because sometimes you just don't know. But anyway, so everybody have a good one. Be safe, and we'll see everybody next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.